Welcome to We Love Deck Builders, the podcast dedicated to empowering deck industry pros to construct a thriving business. Join your host, April Edwards, founder of Deck Builder Marketers, as she brings you a cheat sheet of industry secrets and strategies that promise to boost your deck building business. Whether you're a battle-tested pro or just starting your entrepreneurial journey, this podcast is your arsenal for expert insights and actionable advice. So tune in and let's carve a path to business growth, one insight at a time.
Welcome back to the We Love Deck Builders podcast, the podcast for mastering the business side of decking. I am your host, April Edwards, and today I am thrilled to introduce a special guest who's deeply connected to the pulse of the industry, Sara Graves, managing editor of Deck Specialist magazine. So a little background, she brings years of experience and an insider's perspective on the trends, challenges, and opportunities facing deck builders today. If you've ever wondered how to get your work noticed, stay ahead of the competition, or navigate the changes shaping our industry, this episode is for you. So grab your coffee, sit back, and let's dive into some expert insights with Sara. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. Well, let's get to it. I'm really interested to learn more. Like I prefaced before we got started, you and I have seen each other at all kinds of events. Obviously, I write for the Deck Specialist magazine, the Market Yourself column, and so Sara gets to proof all my work and give feedback. And so we work together in that capacity. But today we're going to get to know each other a little bit more and really see who Sara is and your perspective on the industry. So why don't we get started and just have you tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to Deck Specialist magazine?
Well, it's kind of a funny story that took a little interesting turn. So when I got out of college, I started almost immediately as an intern in magazine editorial. And from there, I was hired on with the Merchant Magazine and Building Products Digest, which those are our two flagship publications even today. The Merchant is over 100 years old. Building Products Digest is over 40 years old. So when I got out of college, I started working for the publications, and I was working under David Koenig. Well, David and I worked for a number of years, and then I left the company and I went on to other sectors. I worked for international air freight, for some other sectors, including the military, which I ended up working as an editor for the military for about 12, 13 years. And so after I left there, I went into the finance industry. And then one day I get a call from David. Mind you, this had been about 20 years later. And David said, "Hey, I have an opportunity for you to come back. Would you like to be the editor of Deck Specialist magazine?" I said, "Absolutely." So I rejoined the company about 3 years ago. And by then, obviously, a new publisher. Company was totally different, much more modernized. And so that's how I came to be the editor today.
And that's interesting. So you've always done some sort of copywriting, editing, it sounds like, and you've worked in different industries. So it's interesting to see that you landed here. That's a pretty incredible story, especially the military for 13 years, right? Anything interesting to say about that experience?
Well, I'm a civilian, so it was a difficult journey to learn all of the acronyms and the levels of service. But over time, I got really acquainted with that. The people that wrote for me were deploying military and their spouses.
Mhm.
And so I was able to work with the Joint Chiefs of Staff. We interviewed them at one point. And so what I found about that job was I was able to really cut my teeth about, in becoming a managing editor and understanding what it meant to grow a business from scratch because it was just 4 of us, and we started it after the previous company had closed down. So we went from 0 to 60 overnight. And so I learned a lot of what the skills that I'm using today, I learned in that job. So it was a really good experience for me.
Awesome. Awesome. So, I guess why don't you just tell us a little bit about Deck Specialist magazine for people that maybe have never heard of it? Which, by the way, you guys can all get a free subscription, a physical magazine. You know that old school snail mail thing? You could get that in your mailbox, the magazine for free. You just got to go to deck-specialist.com. So yeah, why don't you tell our listeners more about it?
Yeah. So at a time when about 8 or so years ago, the industry was, in need of a publication that was solely for the deck builder. There were some other publications, but they weren't directly related or targeting the deck builder. So at the time, David Koenig had noticed that there was this need in the industry because he works on the dealer supplier side. So he could immediately see that there was a lack for the contractors, a voice in the industry that would speak on behalf of the contractors. So he started the publication. And so then from there, I took it over about 3 years later, and it's focused on the projects, the techniques, the products, the businesses, and all aspects of information that a deck builder would need to grow their business. And so it ranges from you have your large deck builders with gigantic projects, or you have those deck builders that maybe just do small 20 by 20 decks, but they do a lot of them. And so this publication appeals to all of those readers. And it's a national publication. And as April said, it's free to the contractor. We also have a digital component where we publish news on a daily basis, a weekly newsletter. Those are also free to the reader. And so we just try to be that conduit that the contractor needs, where they can learn about what the latest in the industry and also be inspired so that they can do their businesses better.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm always impressed at the diversity of the content in the magazine. And I really do feel like there's something for everyone in there. Do you want to talk about, I mean, you kind of have some regular columns in there. You want to talk about those a little bit more?
Yeah. So the columnists that write regularly for our publications, those are contractors such as Bobby Parks, Brandon Casey. They've been writing for the publication almost from the start. I believe Bobby has been a writer for the publication from the start. Brendan has been equally involved with the publication, um, right as David was developing it. So, and then more recently, Andy Henley and Mike Mitchell, they they write for the TNT Tools and Technology column, and so they write about the latest products that they test out for themselves, and they say the pros and cons of those products. As well, they have a contractor corner where they focus on one particular contractor and the tools or techniques that that contractor uses, so that they are successful. And then obviously we have April's column and your column, April. And so that column handles the marketing side of the business and how to improve your business with the marketing techniques and aspects of the business that you should employ so that you can better your business, even when it's in the dark months or the less busy times of the year.
Hmm. Yeah. I'm excited about the next column. Can't tell you guys what it is, but um, making some tweaks on it right now. Awesome. Yeah, Bobby, I mean, His articles, I love his articles. I mean, I think everyone writes so real and it's nice. It's like you feel like you're having a conversation with them reading it. And Bobby's his stuff is pretty valuable. I think he talks about the business side quite a bit too. And he just has so much experience under his belt that I mean, all of these guys do. It's invaluable, to get that type of insight direct from the source. So I want to give you guys props for finding really great people to contribute to the magazine and for, all of those folks that, continue to devote their time to the magazine and the industry as a whole to make it better and support one another.
Yeah, I think what we hope to do with it is we hope to be able to connect with more people. That's always my goal, is to connect with more builders and have them, feel a part of the publication, because ultimately it's their publication. And so we want all of their voices to be equally heard in the magazine. And so, Brenda does an excellent job of, talking about the brotherhood of the industry and, supporting networking organizations such as NADRA. And so I think that's really important, is to just remind those builders that may not be involved with NADRA or may not be involved with some of the groups, the more well-known groups, that there are opportunities to network across the industry and that they're open to everybody.
Yeah, it's really cool whenever Brendan Casey, I feel like he's always the first one whenever there's a new publication or a new edition out. He's just shares it all over all of the Facebook groups. And so, and he's always given props to somebody because he's just a stand-up dude. So that's really cool. And if you guys don't know what NADRA is, it's North American Deck and Railing Association. I highly recommend that you check it out and join. They have a million benefits on the top right-hand corner of their website. There's a benefits page so you can see directly what it is. But I like to say just skip all of that and just do it to support the industry, because they really are doing a lot with code and certifications and pro bono stuff. And I mean, the list goes on, but more so it really is networking and being a part of just a really stellar community. It's so invaluable to connect with folks and see what they're up to and get inspired by others and stuff too. So it's really cool to see that, you and Nadra are kind of connected in that aspect in terms of, your devotion to the industry and truly wanting to help. So Haney Construction said, so no DDD 214 for Sarah. Do we know what this is? Sometimes I need a Haney interpreter. Still a huge fan of her articles and the magazine as a whole. Best reading both to and from every show. Peace and love. Awesome. All right, cool. So coming from the source, that's spoken to a lot of deck builders and is very heavily involved. What do you think that firsthand trends and changes in the deck building world? Like what are some of those biggest shifts that you're noticing right now?
Well, I think it's really important, and I think this has been ongoing, maybe not completely just a shift, but maybe an increased focus on it, is deck builders, they just can't be solely deck builders any longer. Homeowners have a higher expectation of what's possible. They see on social media, they see on websites that that there's an entire build. So that involves not only just the decking, but the latest products and the latest materials and lighting and pergolas and a number of auxiliary products that they are interested in. So the deck builder can't just solely know how to build decks. They have to know how to build everything. Now, if they're not an expert in those things, they certainly can collaborate with other builders to either educate themselves or maybe even bring those builders on board to help with certain aspects of the build. And that may involve smart technology. That's increasingly becoming important, because as the home becomes smarter, So they want the deck to be smarter and connected with the interior of the home, so that biophilic aspect of bringing the outside in or the inside out, um, it's really important to the homeowner that that connectivity is there. And so I think as builders today, what's really important is to educate and to partner with other builders as well as manufacturers and get the education and the certification necessary to be able to take their builds to that higher level.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. It's the shift from deck builder to outdoor living specialist, like completely owning the backyard, right? It's so funny. I'm like late to the game because I don't know why, but I ended up getting an Alexa show. And so it's an Alexa device that's basically looks like a computer. And I got it so that the family and I can all be in sync with what's going on, because my husband and I are basically taxi drivers at this point with how old our kids are. But I'm really excited to hook the device up so that the outdoor lights will go on programmatically. And then I can tell Alexa to from my phone or wherever, to turn them on or off. So we're a little slow to, like get up to speed here, but slowly doing it. And it's very Jetsons to me. I feel like we're in a very Jetsons world right now, even with decks. Mm. Let's see. We've got another comment here. Bobby, Brendan, and Lainey are the best that there are. Awesome. He's always sharing the love. I love it. Um, so deck builders often struggle to get their work noticed. What advice do you have for builders who want to stand out and gain recognition?
Well, I think what's the most important and perhaps something that all deck builders should invest in, and that's excellent photography, because photography is needed in many different facets. So you have a company website. That may be the first time that a prospect notices you or sees your work. Secondly, on social media, that also may be the first time they see you. They may be browsing just for looking for ideas or possible builders that they could hire to do a project. And maybe they're not even aware exactly what they want to do, but they see your photography and what's possible, and you suddenly go to the top of their list. Equally important, that photography is needed for marketing. It's needed to take to prospect meetings, to show the prospects what's possible. That should also be like both print and digital, because there's nothing better than to show a prospect what's possible than perhaps like a drone footage of a project that you've done. And so they can see every aspect of that project, um, from afar, and able to see the possibility for their own yard. And so I think photography is key to expanding a business, a deck building business. Equally important, and April, this is right up your alley. I think marketing is very important, because marketing is not just for the active season. It's for the year round. It's so that when you are in maybe a winter season and you're unable to build, or building has slowed down significantly, your marketing will continue to push your business forward into the spring and summer months when it does get busy again. And because homeowners, they're looking to build their backyards in those down months. They're thinking ahead to the spring and summer. And so they have to, they're working ahead. And so you should be working ahead with your marketing and with your messaging on social media, as well as through your website, making sure that your SEO is up to date, and that everything that represents your business is up to date. Your photography, your messaging, your contact information, and then as well, you should be continually contacting prospects, whether they've employed you or not. Just drip marketing with them year round, so that when they are ready to start their build, maybe a year later, they're going to think of you and they're going to give you that call.
Yeah, staying in front of people. And of course, I got some things to say about this. But, I would say a really important takeaway from what you said is really you need to look at your marketing as an investment in your future. I think a lot of people feel like you could turn it on and off. And if and Bobby talks about this a lot too. I've had a lot of conversations with him about this, but it's also, you could look at it like planting a seed for the future, if it works well. And you're doing it right and staying in front of people, and it's about being top of mind. It's a long, like somebody that's going to invest in a luxury outdoor living space, they're going to take their time to figure out what they want and all of these things. And if you can control, like, first of all, if you can show up during that journey, and stay in front of them during that journey and lead the narrative and answer their questions and show them the capabilities and explain, like, the different features of a deck and the different styles and, railing options and all of these things, then you're making the decision-making process a lot easier for them, and you're alleviating, anxiety and kind of holding their hand. And that in itself is the first experience that, you subconsciously have with a prospect. So it's really important. And just one more thing, and then we'll get going. Marketing is the pulse of your business. Like you need it. You need it. It's the heartbeat. It's what brings things to sales, which obviously feeds the business and is super important. So the other thing with photography, and just, making sure that your website is up to date. I cannot tell you how many people I talk to that don't even add new projects to their site. And that's, to me, it's like you need to embed it into your process. When a project is done, what are you doing afterward to promote it? How are you documenting it with photos? How are you presenting it? Obviously, I hope you are submitting your stuff to your manufacturer to get credit from them and so forth. But, you really got to think that through and be consistent, because it's competitive out there, and you guys are doing great stuff. But if you're not sharing it with the world, they're not going to know it. And I think a lot of people take a lot of pride in referrals. And, once they get somebody on the phone or they do the in-home consultation, they're like, I'll close them every time. Well, that's great. And I believe in you with that for sure. But you need to get in front of them first. And everybody's going to vet you, even if it's a referral. They're still going to go on your website and check out your social media and stuff like that to see what you have to bring to the table. One other point I want to make on that is diversifying your portfolio. So let's see. Chris Breen's here. What did he say? Photography, huge opportunity that a lot of builders underestimate the ROI of. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I would say, like, just put yourself in your homeowner's shoe and act like you are interested in doing something with your backyard, and just start from there and start doing some research and see what comes up. It's hard to do because you guys understand all the intricacies of a deck, but like a lot of people don't know that you can do a curved deck, or they don't know about inlays, or like all these amazing lighting features, or that there are smart pergolas now, And so if you can showcase that stuff in like a project showcase, not just a gallery, but something that provides a little bit more context to the project, you're showing them the possibilities, which is what you've been saying. So don't just have a gallery where you're showing, and first of all, don't have a gallery where you're showing the same deck, just at like different angles, and there's like 20 pictures of it. Like, only have what Amy Breen would say, your money shots, like your best photos, and just have a little description on it. Like if that's all you can do that. Just add some context to it, and it's going to bring it to life and make it easier for people to understand the possibility. So.
Yeah, I think it's what's really important is for like an editor like myself, if you don't have decent photography, you could have an amazing project, but if your photography isn't up to, the highest level, I may not be able to even feature it in its best light in the publication, if at all. So I may have to overlook a perfectly great project just because the photography isn't as good as it could be. And equally so, its photography is even better, then, that's how many of these projects have landed on the cover, is because the photography was at such a high level that I could use it on the cover. And so, it's really important. Um, for instance, like at IBS last year, I ran into Dan Pettit at Northern Outdoor Living, and Dan and I got to talking, and he said, "Hey, I have this project coming up." This is well before he had even started the project, out of Hastings, Minnesota. And he said, "I have this project coming up. I really think that you should, consider it." And I said, "I would love to, follow you on this journey." And so he said, "I'll tell you what, I'll reach out to you in a couple months." So a couple months goes by, and he's like, "Here, I have the renderings." I said, "Wow, that looks like an amazing project." So mind you, the customer had signed off, but it still wasn't a completely clear project yet. So over the months, he kept sending me, updates on this project. Well, he ended up being, featured in the fall issue on the cover, as well as the project focus. So it's because he went out and above and beyond, hired a professional photographer, we were able to, put him on the cover, as well as, feature him as the lead article in that publication. So it's really important as an editor that photography is at its highest level.
That's great, and that's a lot of opportunity to boast a little bit. And I know you guys are all modest, and that might feel uncomfortable. So hire a marketing company that could make you shine. But yeah, that's amazing to get featured on the cover. So we have a really good comment here from TC Deck. So Sarah, what are some different features or styles that catch your eye to feature in the magazine?
So I look at projects from two standpoints. First, I look at it from the reader standpoint. What would other readers of the magazine want to see? What is unique about that project? Is there some sort of technique or product used? Maybe it's a brand new product. Maybe it's how they use that product that I had either not seen it before, or maybe it was, something that nobody had done before. Um, as well as from the homeowner standpoint, if I were a homeowner, how would I be impressed by this project? And would I be impressed by this project? And if so, what about this project impresses me? Because ultimately, as a deck builder, you're trying to sell your projects to the homeowners. So if I, from a homeowner standpoint, is impressed, then there's a good chance that either other builders or other homeowners would also be impressed. And so that along, like what I was saying, good photography um, will draw me into contacting a builder online, which is where I start the process many times with the articles that you see in the magazine. I'll see the projects on social media, in Facebook, private decking groups like Decking 101 or Elite Deck Builders, or more similar groups like that. So I'll look and see these projects, and then I'll reach out to those builders and say, "Hey, I would like to either do a company profile or a project profile or even a personal profile." And at the end of the magazine, we also have a unique feature. So there may be one aspect of that build that I find unique, and then I'll reach out to them about doing a profile that way.
All right, guys, you got to stand out. You got to be visible. You got to be in these groups so Sarah could feature you. And it sounds like, it's not going to hurt to reach out. So, and let her know that you're all up to some amazing stuff. So this is kind of a good segue into my next question, which really just want to know about types of projects or stories that have really stood out to you, like, and just any type of story or project that, you've seen in the past that you think might be interesting to let us know about.
Well, in truth, I can't say that there's one project that I think is greater than the rest, because I think they're all amazing projects. But what I appreciate the most is the enthusiasm of the deck builders that I contact and coordinate the stories with. I mean, they go above and beyond to ensure that I get everything I need for the magazine, and I can't thank those builders enough for that. And just the enthusiasm for the industry and how they feel valued as deck builders to be in the magazine, but as an editor, I feel valued in order to have their contribution to the magazine. And so, like I said, there's not one particular project because I just think they're all amazing. But what I find the greatest value in is just the relationships I've developed with the deck builders over the years and how I'm able to, make new connections, and making the contact or the conduit between the manufacturer and the deck builders. Often, in the Deck Specialist of the Year Awards, which is our July and August issue annually, being able to make that connection and have the manufacturers refer us to new deck builders or deck builders they find that we should feature in the magazine. I just think that those relationships are so important, especially, in order to grow the magazine and grow the representation of the industry as a whole.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Deck Specialist of the Year, that's going to be your quick. So I don't really know much about that in terms of like how that works with entries and stuff like that. You guys just scout out Specialist of the Year with different manufacturer partners. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, so actually, we reach out to the manufacturers about this time every year, and we ask them to give us a referral to the deck builder they feel that they want to highlight in the magazine.
Mm.
And so each manufacturer will give us a deck builder, and then we'll work with those deck builders to feature their projects and their company information. We'll send out a list of questions that they answer, and then we'll focus in on some of their more recent projects, and we'll have photography related to that.
Mm.
So really, they're like mini company profiles, but the manufacturers are the ones that give us the referrals that we need to move forward with that section.
Hmm. Awesome. Something to look forward to. I have to imagine that's one of your biggest issues of the year.
It is. It is. It's very popular, and rightfully so because the magazine is full of deck builders who are doing excellent work. Of course, always there's excellent work in the magazine, but that particular issue, we'll have a dozen manufacturers that give us referrals to deck builders. So that just shows the importance between the relationship of the manufacturer to the contractor because if there's no connection there, they're not going to know to refer that particular deck builder to us.
Yeah, and I'll say at the Nadra Deck Awards this month, earlier this month, I got to be one of the moderators, leaders, whatever, on one of the mastermind tables, and it was for primarily manufacturers. And they just want to help so much. I mean, they're there to support you and they have the cash to support you, even with some of your marketing. So I'm constantly talking to manufacturers and we're trying to work together in order to support, all of you deck builders. I did just do a survey with some of our clients just to see if they're leveraging their manufacturer and dipping into those resources. And I was surprised to learn that a lot are not. So I don't know if that's on like the rep or where, but definitely like build those relationships and they'll spoil you too. They'll spoil you and take you to amazing places. So I think it's a cool testimony of how everybody really does want to support all of these builders and move this industry forward.
Well, what's important is, um, and you'll see this from time to time. I'll be in social media and I'll send out requests, um, asking for builders' responses. In fact, I just recently did it for fasteners. with the help of Brendan Casey. And so we'll send out questions to the industry, to builders themselves, asking them about their relationship to products or their relationship to the manufacturers, or, their opinions about certain aspects of the industry related to what we're covering in the magazine. So we're always trying to make that connection, um, because, you know, as we stand in the middle, as a voice for the industry, we want to be able to properly represent that back to the manufacturer and vice versa. And so we use social media a lot to get builders' comments and their input into how they feel about the industry, and how they feel about the products that they're using.
It's awesome. The good aspects of social media. Haney Construction said, Sarah, how can, and he's not sure if it's with an H. It's not with an H. It is not with an H. And it makes me sad because my Sarah, my daughter, is with an H because that was my great grandmother. So, but Sarah without an H, how can a third story balcony without a no drone area close to a military base be photographed? Asking specifically for myself on 4 that I just wrapped. Please advise.
Well, I'm not the expert in that, but if I were to guess, I would have to say that that's probably not feasible, um, because bases or housing near military, um, I'm pretty sure that there's restrictions to that. And so what I would do if I were, in your shoes and needed that photography, I'd reach out to the ASGs, the local agency there, or the marketing on base, and I would reach out to them and explain what you need and how best to go about getting that permission so you can get the photography you need.
Awesome. I mean, you were probably the most ideal person to ask about that. Chad said, I'm not sure. So he said treated LVL subframe with the 25-year warranty. So I don't know if that was a comment on something else. If you want to elaborate, let us know. So, not smoking, spoken to many deck builders and industry leaders. What challenges do you see builders facing most often, and how can they overcome them?
Well, what I hear a lot from builders is the difficulty in getting the help that they need, especially during the busy seasons. Hiring subs, ensuring that those subs are the quality that the deck builders want. Um, being able to rehire them year to year. So that can pose a great difficulty, especially if you're trying to either expand your business or if you have multiple teams that are out doing different projects. At the same time, uh, suppliers getting the products you need on time to the project, um, especially if there's a last minute change, or if there's a snag in the transportation industry of some sort, or the shipping industry. That could obviously, a few years back, that was a huge part of the problems that deck builders were seeing. But that still poses a problem today for many deck builders, depending on the season and the time of year. And so, having those relationships with their suppliers, having those channels in place is so important, because those relationships, I think having those relationships in place will help those snags that come along with the industry, as well as just treating your subs and your seasonal workers with such high quality that they want to return. And I think that's really important, is the kind of employer that you are and how you treat them. I think will ensure that they want to return, and that you'll have the quality work for years to come.
Yeah. I mean, you got to invest in your people, and it's a lot to bring someone on and get them trained up on your ways. And yeah, I mean, I take that really seriously. I pride ourselves on our culture, which is difficult here because we have a virtual team at Deck Builder Marketers, but it's so well worth it investing in people. Awesome possum. So looking ahead, where do you see the future of the deck building industry heading? Are there any trends or innovation you think builders should prepare for?
Well, kind of like what I mentioned before, I don't know if there's exact new trends, but what I think will increasingly become important is, the homeowners, they're very eco-conscious. So they're gonna be looking to how the products are made and the materials used in those products. And so having an understanding of those products and knowing that they're sustainable, that they're eco-friendly, I think that's really important to a lot of homeowners today. Um, as well as, standing out among the crowd and being knowledgeable in what you do, and your techniques in the products themselves, the latest products that are being introduced into the market, constantly being up to date on those products, knowing what they have to offer, the relationships to get those products. I think to stand out, you're gonna have to be a Jack or Jill of all trades, so that you can represent the industry at its very finest, so that the homeowner knows that you're the best fit for their job.
Bam. That was well said. Awesome. Thank you so much. So we're about at the hour here, and I'd love for anybody to chime in with any questions that you have for Sarah. Let us know. We'll stick around here for a couple more minutes. And for anyone listening on any of the podcast channels, we do these pretty often. We do the podcast live. So follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and you'll get notified when we're going to do another live podcast. And what does that mean? It means that if you follow us on social and tune into the live stream, you could ask questions directly with any of our podcast guests, which is pretty cool. So fire away. Sarah's here for you. She's pretty embedded into the industry and quite the advocate. So we'd love to hear your questions. But before we wrap up, do you have any final advice for deck builders looking to grow, adapt, or thrive in today's market?
Yeah, I think being flexible, um, being connected in every way possible, whether that be through the industry, whether that be outside through your own channels, through social media. I think that's really important, that connectivity. Um, Building relationships with other deck builders, learning and teaching other deck builders that maybe don't have the skills that you may um, thrive in. I think that is important to bring everybody to a higher level. As certain builders teach other builders, people like Brandon Casey, who's the first one to be available to teach anybody what he knows. I think it's that level of connectivity, that brotherhood, as he talks about, um, that's going to grow the industry. That's going to make the homeowners realize that deck builders are, a unique and amazing group, and that they're not that the individual deck builder isn't isolated from the industry, yet they're very well connected, and that as a group, as a whole, that that particular deck builder has the support of other deck builders to be excellent in what they do. And so that's why, we're always at the trade shows. That's why we're always trying to uplift the industry, because really the deck builder is such a special, unique person and part of an amazing group that we want to, you know, we want to showcase that to the world as best as we can. And so we're always available. You can reach me directly via email if you want to reach out to me. My email is sgraves@deck-specialist.com. You can reach out to me anytime. Again, that's sgraves@deck-specialist.com. I'm always available and love to hear from builders. Want to talk to you? You can call me on the phone, email me, send me your project ideas. I just want to be available, and I want to make myself available to everybody who's interested in showcasing what they have to offer.
Awesome. What an amazing advocate. Like I said, Sarah's email address is posted here, sgraves@deck-specialist.com. Reach out to her. She's here to make connections, to support, to move the industry forward. Amazing, amazing. And then, as mentioned, Deck Specialist magazine is free. So you could get your free subscription right on the website, deck-specialist.com. They do have digital issues. Follow their email list so that you can get notified when new editions are out. And then you said you have a weekly newsletter too?
Correct. Yes.
Awesome. Cool. So I guess that's it. Oh, actually, hold on. We had one other comment here. Where did it go? Okay, so very informative information. I am a sales rep from a railing manufacturer in New Jersey. Phoenix Manufacturing. Give us a like on social media. Sorry if I sent this a few times. I kept losing service. Awesome. Nice to have you here. And then let's see. Haney Construction. Please don't overlook the responsiveness of any manufacturer on any question, as that's indicative of how they'll treat your HOs going forward. Very cool. Well, that was a fantastic conversation. Amazing to have Sara on. A big thank you, Sara, for sharing your time and insights with us today. And again, if you haven't already, be sure to check out Deck Specialist magazine. It is an incredible resource for staying informed, inspired, and connected with the latest in the industry. And if you enjoyed this episode of We Love Deck Builders, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with fellow deck builders who could use these tips. And as a reminder, if you have not already gotten the Deck Builder Marketing Playbook, make sure that you do. You can get that at deckbuildermarketers.com/book, or just ping us and we'll send you a free copy just for listening, which is really cool. Sara, before we depart, did we miss anything? Any last words of wisdom?
I don't think we missed anything. What I look forward to, meeting as many of you as possible at IBS. Again, reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. Hit me up on social media. I would love to have that conversation with you.
Awesome. Are you guys going to have a booth there?
No, we're just going to be walking around, visiting. Just hit me up on email and I'll meet you wherever you're at.
Awesome. Love it. So, as always, if you're ready to take your business to the next level, visit us at deckbuildermarketers.com for proven strategies to grow your lead and stand out in a competitive market. And April Edwards, also a columnist at Deck Specialist magazine. Market yourself. And as I end every column, keep moving forward. Thanks again, Sara.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, deck building community. Enjoyed the show? Hit subscribe and give us your thoughts. We love hearing from you. Ready to level up your business? Visit deckbuildermarketers.com. Check out our services and let's build your success together. Don't forget to download our free guides. They're a game changer. Thanks for tuning in to We Love Deck Builders and see you on the next episode.